Faith and God's power always work together in conjunction with each other. 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 5. Do you see that verse? Let's read it out loud. Your faith does not rest on human wisdom, but on God's power. I want you to circle the phrase, your faith, circle the phrase, God's power, and then draw a line connecting them together. And I want you to notice the construction of this verse. It's not the way it always is in the Bible, but to me, when I picked out this passage, it was just something that stood out for me, was that the first thing that he mentions is what? Your faith. And then at the end of the verse, what does he mention? What comes first? And then God's power. That's what I want you to understand this morning. You see, don't expect God's power to show up if you're not going to step out in faith. It doesn't work that way. That's not the way God does business. He says, first step out in faith, then I'll show up with my power. And I want to illustrate that for you this morning with these things that I brought with me. Some simple things. Some water and this valve. All right? Now, water is very powerful. Amen? Very powerful stuff. We have seen the evidence of water and how it has the ability to actually tear down a mountain. You know, right now, some of you that live in Temescal Valley, you probably received warnings about how that there could be mudslides, you know, during the rainy season because all of the vegetation has been burned off the hillside. That's the power of water. You know, it can destroy. It can destroy a mountain. It'll destroy your house. A flood comes through, and it just destroys. Water, I want you to think of this water as like God's power, okay? And I brought a valve with me. And all of us have a valve like this somewhere in our house. A lot of you might have it in your garage. It's a water shutoff valve. All right, a water shutoff valve. And the water that's coming in from your street is coming into your house. If this valve is open, water is going to come into your house. You're going to enjoy water. You're going to be able to take a bath. You're going to be able to drink water. You're going to be able to do the laundry and all that kind of stuff. All right? But if the valve is closed, you're not going to get any water. I want you to think of this valve as your faith. The water, God's power. It's coming through your faith. You get this? A lot of us are turned off to God. We've turned him off in our life because we're not showing any faith. We're not stepping out in any faith. So you've got to open up your life in faith for the water to come through, for his power to come through in your life. That's how simple it is. That's all you have to do. It doesn't get any simpler than that. God says, you want my power? Step out in faith. Admit that you need it. Step out in faith. That's all you've got to do. Does that make sense? Christmas is all about celebrating God's power. That's what it's all about. Every detail in the Christmas story reveals God's power in some way. And in order to access that power, you've got to do these three things. Admit I need it, plug into the source, and then step out in faith. And then God will empower you. No matter what it is that you're going through in your life, he will be there at that moment that you have faith. Ephesians chapter 1, verse 19 through 20 says this, I pray that you will begin to understand how incredibly great his power is to help those who what? Believe him. God's power is available to those who believe him, who have faith in him. It is the same mighty power that raised Christ from the dead. Circle that word power. Circle the word believe. That's the connection. You've got to step out in faith.